I suppose. So when I first came into IBM, my job was all about creating a new startup program. And my boss said, all right, here's your budget. Bring 15 startups onto our platform. Go. Okay. Let us know when you need us. Here are some people you can talk to. And I realized that our division, had not had a lot of experience, if any, with the startup ecosystem, and I was really one of the only ones. And that was both a scary thing, but also an exciting thing. I'm both an entrepreneur or an innovator inside of someone else's company and an entrepreneur. So I saw that as a really great opportunity for me to be my own boss inside of a big tech company and really create something, new and unique. And kind of put my personal stamp on it while still laddering up to IBM goals and objectives. So I created a startup program. It's called IBM Hyper Protect Accelerator. In 2019, we brought 15 startups into our platform. Or into our program, and each of them are at different stages. Some are some dogs and cats, some are really great, and that's just how the startup ecosystem goes. They say that 80 to 90% of startups fail. It's true. Lots of startups pivot and change and do different things. Think about how many times you change your job or change what you want to study or change what you want to do in life, or heck, we've all been through COVID, changing your partner, that's been very common these days too, changing your whole life around. Last year, we added 30 startups to our portfolio, and I was really excited to see the level of diversity and inclusion in the program. 53% of our startups have at least one female founder, 34% have at least one Black founder, 14% Latinx, and 14% Asianx. Having a diverse and inclusive team is very, very important to me because I believe in kind of the power of design thinking and really reflecting upon, the makeup of your audience and the makeup of your team and having your team, reflective of your audience, if you will. Before I came to IBM, I worked at Microsoft and I spent 5 years at Microsoft. My last job at Microsoft was as an impact investor. I focused on the internet and energy access spaces and brought digital skills to the newly connected. I'm going to share a fun fact about that work. And I don't even know if Aaron's heard this before. Now, I will tell you that this is not, something that I actually physically did myself. But I can say that I was part of bringing the internet to the Dalai Lama. So I can't claim to practice mindfulness every second of the day. I can't claim to have created mindfulness, but damn it, when you see the Dalai Lama tweet, you just know where that internet connectivity came from. All right, so I've always been a fan of digital skill building. It's just part of my passion for a lot of reasons. I really see digital skill building as the future. And that doesn't mean that everybody needs to learn to code or everybody's going to be an engineer, everybody's going to be a data scientist. But I believe that, everyone needs to have this fundamental understanding of the introductory building blocks of learning to code, or how to be safe and secure online, or have the skills to make meaningful use of the internet, whether that's getting an education, accessing healthcare information, e-government benefits, or working from home and having the ability to use the tools in front of you, whether you're 4 or 104. So I had some big ideas last year, and I brought those in front of our IBM leadership team and suggested that we do some really cool things with students above and beyond what we were doing. Well, sometimes when you ask for something, you get assigned to be the one to do those things, which in my case was both a blessing and a curse, because I realized, holy smokes, now you get a big team and you get budget, and now your job has significantly increased and your responsibilities as well. So I now head up student and entrepreneur experience globally within the IBM Z division of IBM. So that means I empower startups. I work with amazing people like Aaron who empower me every day to be more technical, because I'm not actually an engineer, funny enough. And then on the student front, it's all about digital skill building. So how do we prepare young people or students? Because at the end of the day, we're all a student for the future of work, so that they can land awesome jobs in tech, explore career opportunities in enterprise computing, for example, and maybe identify roles that they didn't know would be for them, especially diverse audiences who might not have ever been exposed to computer science in a formal education, if you will. I'm also the CEO and founder of a youth-led nonprofit. It's called Mentor Nations. We've taught tens of thousands of young people to code in 12 countries. We have an IoT lab, a robotics lab, and a co-working space in Tunis, Tunisia. So sandwiched in between Algeria and Libya, the spark of the Arab Spring, the home of the Jasmine Revolution, in case any of those historical events you remember some of those. I'll share two more things and then I'll shut up and let Aaron go, because I know I'm a hard act to follow. I'm the chair of the Digital Skills Working Group within IEEE, so the largest engineering organization on the planet, 400,000 members worldwide. And I was part of introducing this idea to the IEEE that we have a framework and a standard for what it means to be digitally literate. Because at the end of the day, we measure literacy, we report out on it at a individual level, a school level, a country level, all across the board. But if digital literacy is the new literacy, then shouldn't we have a definition for what that means? Because you know how it goes. If you don't know how to define something, how can you measure it? Therefore, how can you determine whether you're succeeding or whether you're failing? So we introduced the first global standard for what it means to be digitally intelligent. It went through the IEEE Standards Board. It was launched last year. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has endorsed it. I believe the government of Singapore has endorsed it. And we'll see which other countries are on the trajectory of endorsing this standard that was part of the literature review for my PhD, which I look forward to completing by June the 4th of this year. And I know that because I cannot delay it any further. They will absolutely kick me out and kick me out for the last time, because I have been kicked out twice. So just remember, you can lose and you can win and you can get back up again, and you can still, achieve things that you maybe thought were never once possible. So with that, Aaron, I know that's a hard act to follow.
No, great. Thanks, Melissa. So my name is Aaron Rawls. I'm the Chief Technical Penguin. And so what does that mean? For the startups, I kind of serve three major hats. I kind of function as their virtual CTO to help them make sure they're on track in the right areas in the right way, technology-wise. And then secondly, I kind of serve as their cloud solution architect to help bring them all into the IBM cloud. If they're coming from, because they're coming from AWS, Azure, or Google, or other third parties. And so there's a lot to learn. So creating that learning path along with that. In addition with that is to become their almost like a technical project manager. And once we kind of build a game plan, hold them to it, and make sure their team has the assets to learn and to have the application running correctly on the IBM cloud and using the hypertext resources, and to make sure they've got contact with the right groups inside of IBM, because there's no way I know everything about all the cloud services and everything to do across the enterprise. My background is I've served early on in the military, and then went to school and realized I didn't want to be a doctor, didn't want to be a lawyer. And so technology, I had relatives that were in that, and completed my degree, and then went to work for a telecommunications company around the world, kind of doing on-site implementations. Then spent a good 12 years in electric utility oversight area. So and that small company was started at 65 and I left over at 500. So I had a lot of hand in kind of the entrepreneur side of building out and maturing that IT organization. And then later on, I went back into banking, worked for Capital One, and then Goodyear, and other big, Fortune companies, Fortune 500 companies that were had sometimes, no exposure to cloud architecture and how to evolve their products to fit into there. What was it? And so after a period of time, I worked with a software as a service company, and then moved into a cloud solution architect role with Microsoft. I was there a brief 5 months before Melissa snagged me up and presented this opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And so I joined because I want to help other companies around the world do good, and having the ability to kind of work with diverse clientele and customers and different people from all around the world is really intriguing to me.
Awesome. Go, Aaron, go. So yeah, he's my partner in crime. So Hardik, would you like us to jump into the presentation, or what is the best way to move forward now that we've done our introductions?
So that's what we have planned, that we will be going, first with your presentation. And once you guys finish your presentation, we will be taking questions from all participants.
Okay, cool. So let me just pull it up real quick. Give me 1 second. I should have had it up, but I had dinner plans before I came to the talk. So I will find, there we go. I got it. Okay. So let me put it into presentation mode, and then I will share my screen. So I'll be with you shortly. Okay. Oh, Hardik, can you give me screen sharing capabilities, please?
I have to make you a co-host, I guess. Just let me do that. Yes. Yeah, I have to make you a co-host. I'm really sorry about it.
No, that's okay. Take your time.
All good.
Arun, Arun, you are.
Yeah, just Melissa needs to share.
Melissa is also okay. Now you guys should have that access.
Yeah, it's good now. All right, cool. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, fabulous. So what we're going to talk about today is secure data stewardship for startups. And Aaron, I can't remember our flow, so just jump in here, okay?
Sure.
All right, awesome. So we've already done our introductions. What we're going to talk about is secure data stewardship for startups that's powered by Linux One. Did you know that a Linux One machine, which is IBM technology, is actually the most secure server in the world? I've really enjoyed saying this lately. I was on a talk recently, and I don't think you know this story yet, Aaron. It's actually quite funny. I'm not going to say exactly who I was on the show with, but it was a very senior person, with a C title in the, so a C-level person in a tech company. And they asked me, what do you do? What's IBM Z? And I said, well, it's the most secure server on the planet. They were like, well, what's that? And I'm like, a mainframe. And they were like, oh, okay. And it was really funny because it was actually quite a technical person. And I thought, I'm not going to get invited back to this this talk again, because it was essentially a competing product. And I after we stopped recording and the thing was over, I was like, I'm so sorry. Am I in trouble for saying that? Funny enough, I got an email today and I've been invited back for part 2. So I didn't get boycotted, and I thought I was going to, though, I'll tell you. All right, cool. So I'm going to just turn off my camera so I save some video or save some bandwidth. This is really your leadership team, Aaron and I. We have a really good time together, both I think at a human level, at a colleague level. And that's something that's very important to me in my career, is really connecting with people, you know, one-on-one, and not, we spend a lot of time at work, so you might as well have a good time doing what
Remotely.
I know, right, Aaron? So, you know, what we say to our startups is kind of food for thought. You know, understanding regulatory requirements is really hard. You know, even if you're a seasoned, you know, chief technology officer, chief risk officer, you know, even if you work in a big company, it's hard stuff. And you don't always know if you're doing the right thing by your customers. You think you are sometimes, then you realize, oh, shoot, what have I done? You know, it's even harder when you're handling personally identifiable information. And we'll talk about what that is for those of you who might not be familiar with the words, that word or those words, or PII. You know, sometimes people don't even know what's considered PII. You may not even know. So it's absolutely food for thought. These are some examples of PII. And one of the things that you should always think about is how sensitive is your customer data? You know, if you're collecting medical records, think about this. You go to a doctor and, you know, you talk about your most sensitive, you know, detail, your health records, and they have this big, you know, record on you of your ailments, you know, or imagine, you know, you go to your therapist and your therapist, you know, gives you certain medications. You know, do you want your records to be in the hands of the internet, you know, or your banking detail, your net worth or your lack thereof, your social security number if you're in the US and you have that, you know, your insurance history. It's very sensitive, and naturally you want your data.
I'm not sure if we lost Melissa.
Yeah,
but
Melissa, you are
correct. Yeah, so it's like, you know, data. It's all different types of data: insurance history, insurance claims, your financial transactions that, you know, can give insights into, you know, bad actors' information. And so I'm not sure if she can hear me. If she can rotate the slide.
Yeah.
All right. I can carry on. I've got.
No, I mean, we can hear you, Arun, but not Melissa. So I think, I mean, there's.
Yeah. Let me share. Let's see. I'm bringing it up on my side.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So this is where it kind of picked up on different types of common, you know, protective, secured, you know, data you commonly think about that's you want to have protected. So about 98% of breaches in 2019 were personal identifiable information. So that's a hefty amount. So what is personal identifiable information, and what kind of areas are, you know, like GDPR is concerned with personal identifiable information. So is HIPAA. And so personal identifiable information falls into two major categories: secure and unsecure. Secure stuff is basically your social security number and factors like that, your first name, last name. Lesser secure items might be your IP address and other factors. But those rules of what is PII data and things that are moved to secure and not secure are evolving all the time. And so one of the concerns is, you think about it as, well, not just the data in database, but it's all the data in your data logs. And maybe a developer has created kind of logging tools for supporting your customers, supporting your solution, and making sure they're not logging the incorrect things. Or if they are, and if you follow the kind of these compliance requirements of reporting or making sure the data is removed upon data or customer request, is removed from all those locations. So it's a lot to kind of keep up with and maintain with. Let me just check Melissa. She texted me, make sure she's good. Okay, her internet fell off, so I'm going to let her know that I've got this presentation for y'all. So that's kind of a huge area to be thinking of, and, you know, makes me kind of worried working with startups and even past companies, or we log in the right things, we bring all this information, are we anonymizing in the right place? So the other thing is 55% of data breaches were in healthcare, banking, financial, insurance industries. That's a huge amount. And then to think about is that attacks happen regardless of the size of the institution. Attackers go for anything that's weak or exposed. It doesn't matter how much data they can pull out. It could be 100 records, or it could be millions of records. If they get anything, they're content. And so a data breach is a data breach. Now different fines and different aspects will break into the amount of records and the incidents and those type of things. But in general, these are major areas, institutions in healthcare, banking, and insurance that are high target areas. So what is a hypertext accelerator? What are we looking for in the startups? What are the type of companies we try and partner with for this accelerator? So we want companies that are fintech, healthcare tech, insurance tech, and that have less than $1 million in revenue and less than 5 years old. That's kind of the key area. And so the next thing is, are they working with this type of data, personal identifiable information, digital assets? If you're not familiar with digital assets are, this is tied to hyperledgers and other artifacts that can be encrypted or utilized, like bitcoins, sometimes these let's see, like bonds or other digital artifacts that you might use as part of an attestation or identifying is owned by a customer. Maybe it's a real estate title and those type of things, or other highly sensitive pieces of information that maybe you don't want exposed. And you can think of this as potentially, other conversations or correspondence and things of that nature. So and our role in hypertext services is in order to what? Why would they want to? Well, improve and increase access to essential services while keeping sensitive data secure. So what does that mean? Well, these startups in these industries are doing a lot of great things in areas of the world where there's huge holes. So one instance is we have a startup that is working to provide a credit score across the EU where they don't have transferable credit scores. So somebody moves around the EU, they don't have a new credit score, and they have to deposit cash for a lot of things. Well, if you're well off, that's probably okay. But if you're a lower income individual, then that's harder impact on you, and you might think about twice about taking another opportunity. So it's kind of an example of how we try to increase access. Other things are medical and opportunity related on that line. So our road to startups, we talked about a little bit in the introduction. Melissa started off with 15 in 2019, and those have just kind of completed their first year. In October, when I first joined IBM, we announced the next 30, we call them cohort 2 and 3 that were introduced. And in 2021, we're adding 55 more startups into this program. And we've just kind of launched a call for action, call for applications in that process. So again, Melissa touched on this a little bit, but here's a kind of recap on, well, what do the startups get when they join? Well, they get the tech mentorship, and that's just not just my time, but it's time across IBM experts that we have in deep AI, machine learning, or in crypto, or in big data, or other aspects, or sometimes it's specialization in one of our products. And that goes over 2 years. And we have a private Slack channel for each company. We do like monthly one-on-one check-ins and ad hoc meetings as needed. And then for an example, we do quarterly kind of team learning sessions where next month we're bringing them all together virtually, and we're doing presentations on AI, machine learning, deep learning, the IBM Financial Services Cloud, and other partnership opportunities inside of IBM. So those opportunities. In biz mentorship, we have Village Capital as our partner that helps them with their pitch decks and getting other series of funding. And so they go through kind of workshop and classes throughout the year on helping them improve their communication in those areas. So the credits, 120,000, like 10,000 a month. doesn't roll over, but it's access to anything in the IBM cloud catalog. So it's the hypertext services, it's the basic IBM cloud resources, and anything that another provider, a third party in the catalog would have, they can utilize. We also have the go-to-market collaboration. So that's from some of the work I do and making sure the products are sound and based upon my past experience in different industries, and also with Village Capital from their business direction and the market areas they're kind of going after. And then marketing and PR. So some of the things we do are blogging opportunities on our site and the bi-monthly talk show that Melissa and I started. Kind of starts with Sassy and Rawls. We bring the CTO and the CEO on board and do kind of it's almost like a video podcast, kind of fireside chat, kind of casual, get to know about the CEO, CTO, their company, the business problem they're trying to solve, and other videos throughout the year, opportunities and cross-marketing and other areas of IBM. And then that's kind of leads into access to IBM Network. IBM Network is so vast, the financial services companies have the opportunity to go into the financial service cloud, which is an area inside of IBM that allows them to have a greater opportunity of partnerships with other financial service institutions that have gone through a rigorous security check, architectural review, and kind of be put inside the catalog for platform as a service or software as a service kind of offerings between each other. And then we have kind of Partner World and other ISVs that they can help out with. And so, it's kind of what are the major facts that makes this the most secure server in the world. So first, it's physically tamper-proof. And so what does that mean? There are physical detection configurations on the hardware that can determine if somebody is physically tampering with the device via temperature, other manipulation, that will automatically lock down all of the assets. Then secure enclaves. This is part of a secure execution environment that's for isolating large workloads, and the data is protected inside that. And so basically creates a complete envelope around all of the information, the application running inside of that area. And so we can detect unauthorized attempts and then lock down the server. And so basically what I've just described is there's a FIPS 140-2 levels of certification. Well, that kind of gets into what is all that and how is that different from other providers. The IBM Linux One Server and HyperText resources are level 4. No other cloud provider or other provider has this offering. They stop at level 3. And so, we'll get into a little bit more about what is that. And so the other thing is that the Linux One system, the mainframe that the cloud services, the HyperText services run on, is on and scalable, meaning it's got the best uptime of server 9959s. And that's in the data centers. Right now we have them in Washington, D.C., Dallas, Frankfurt, and Sydney, and more plans to more locations in 2021 to add them to. So at a highest level, what is the difference in what we provide and what's already out there from other locations? So other cloud providers, the FIPS level 3 versus a level 4 is they have what we call they have a kind of an operational level, a kind of a policy, a word policy put in place that says, you as an employee of so-and-so company promise you will not look at the data of customers. Well, at the IBM HyperText, it's a technical assurance that even the IBM staff cannot access the virtual server or the other data in the databases or in the cryptography unit at all. There's a limited API access for them, and they can't even peek at the data. If they try to, or anybody try to, through the other manipulation and attack attempts, the system goes on immediate shutdown and it protects all the data on lockdown, and there's recovery steps to kind of recover your data and your processes when that situation occurs. So it's also a greener solution. Well, how? Why? Well, for one, the IBM Linux One uses less electricity than the Intel x86 processors. They used about 80% less electricity for one customer, and one of the examples, one of the studies. And so the other thing is, well, if it's more efficient, it's also uses a smaller floor space, and another customer was able to save, 86% of their overall energy, or reduce its overall floor space utilization by 86%, and overall energy consumption by 62%. So with these savings, where the customers are using less carbon footprint. And so one of the customers was able to, reduce its carbon footprint by 940 metric tons over 5 years. So it's a pretty powerful server, and it's a lot smaller and can do, on average, 3 to 5 times more of the workload than the competitors. So, so again, kind of a quick recap on why does HyperProtect matter? What's important for the customer as a startup? Well, demonstrating data stewardship. Whenever you're a startup and you're trying to land, you're working in the healthcare, financial, or insurance tech industries, it's hard to land those customers. And so by showing that you take serious consideration and concern of your customer data, then you're more likely to have those opportunities or get through those first level, meetings into landing those larger deals and trial offers. So 2, adhere to regulatory requirements. Well, the HyperProtect Cloud Services, we leverage the most secure server, and it makes adhering to those requirements that are complex, and in your different markets, they're always changing. You never know if you have an opportunity to go into a new emerging market, or is your product going to adhere to the stringent requirements? Well, now you don't have to worry, because everything is already on lockdown. You're designing with security from the ground up, today. Then support for a greener environment, like we covered. It's a smaller footprint, and it's greater capability, and it's greener. So here's some examples of some of the customers. FinClude is a fintech company. So they're the ones that are enabling fair access credit across the European Union, kind of using artificial intelligence, a little machine learning, and they utilize IBM Cloud HyperProtect services, databases and virtual servers to provide these real-time decisions. You can read more. Hopefully we can share the links afterwards. IBM.biz, HPA-FinClude-S&R. IBM Biz is kind of a bit.ly kind of short link. Next, Home Lending Pal is another fintech. They use AI and look at your bank records, and their goal is to help customers that maybe believe they wouldn't have been considered for home loans, giving them the opportunity, and also trying to streamline that process, working with home loan vendors. So they look at your information, they create AI models and determine, if you're likely fit, or kind of train, educate you on the home lending and the home loan kind of cost beyond just the first day of getting in there. Next, we have Lever Health. They're a health company that is a health data exchange and patient identification platform. They use blockchain, biometrics, IBM Cloud HyperProtect services that allow their stakeholders to share health information and identifying patients using biometric scans anywhere in the world. So kind of, if you want to participate more, or so we're looking for the startups to apply. We want them to kind of learn through our startup show with Sassy and Rawls. You can listen to past events, register on IBM Expert TV, and then blog. You can join our community site that's hosted by IBM, to where you can blog about your experiences as a startup and your ideas, and we'd love to hear from you. So I think Melissa's just joined us, and so here are the links of where anybody can go to apply. Again,
Oh, by the way, the apply now, it's not live yet. It's gonna be once we kick off the call for applications. So we're giving you a sneak peek of the presentation before it's really ready for prime time. I picked the perfect time to join at the very end. This is great.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with my computer. The internet went out and then I couldn't connect it. I thought, you know what? I should restart, and then it worked. So there you go.
Yeah, restart solves so many computer problems. Yeah, that's what my experience of 15 years.
I don't know what it is about the restart. There you go.
Yeah.
So here's the link to our show, Sassy and Rawls. We have our next episode on the 14th, where we're talking about the accelerator program, the kickoff for 21. And then the blog, the Accelerator Hub, and this is the dedicated area in the community for Hypertech Accelerator.
Perfect. Arun,
Yes.
you know, I mean, meanwhile, like Shashi, she is going to continue. I request you to don't leave because the students might have some questions for you.
Oh yeah, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, but we're not going anywhere. We're right here.
Okay.
The security guys needed to let somebody into my apartment, so they were out there like, "Give us your keys, the visitor." I'm like, "Oh shit! Okay. All right, I'm on my way. I'm not going anywhere."
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The startups, you know, we're looking to hear what problems you're trying to solve, and what's your solution, your target market, and why data protection and privacy and security matter to you.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, for all of you students out there, we have another platform that is all geared around, you know, student learning. And I'm going to put in the chat window, you know, what that address is. Give me 1 second and I'll put it in. I'd really like for all of you to join this. You have an opportunity to ask me questions, ask anyone at IBM questions. If I don't know the answer, if my crew doesn't know the answer, we'll go out and figure it out. There are learning paths for enterprise computing. We've got all kinds of different things that are available to you, since I also wear that student hat. So let me just put that in the chat window right now. There you go. I'd love for y'all to join that. I can also give you, you know, the ability to author blogs. So, you know, if you want to get kind of published in the world of IBM, you know, Hardik, I offer this to you as well. You know, if there's anything cool that you'd like to write on about, you know, a project or activity, naturally, we'd like it to be, you know, something to do with IBM technology, ideally IBM Z technology. There's lots of resources out there that will help you think about enterprise computing. You know, we're happy to even, you know, kind of spin up a little demo if Aaron's cool with it, you know, on, you know, the HyperProtect product, if you want to see kind of how to take that for a little bit of a spin. But Hardik, do you want to open up, you know, for questions after we finish this up, and then it back to Aaron to finish up the presentation?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's better you finish up with the presentations and then we can start with the questions.
There we go. Thank you. We finished the presentation.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go.
That was my cue to Aaron and there you go.
Yeah. No, and another thing is, like, I mean, yeah, you would love the questions from the students for sure, and yeah, regarding like publishing these articles and all those things. So you know, I mean, before we give the platform to students ask the questions, I would like to tell you, like, you know, we are about to start. I mean, we are starting rather. Our MS Data Science program, the first data science program in our UH Victoria campus. So our sister campuses, they have a data analytics program and a mathematical and statistical focused data science program. But
I've got some really cool machine learning on IBM Z stuff that we could come in and do a guest lecture on.
Definitely.
Whenever you're ready. We've also got what we call the Linux One Community Cloud, where you can actually take an IBM Z machine for a spin. You can use it for free. It can't be used for like profitable purposes. It has to be used for research and learning. But we can give you access to this solution. I'm assuming that, most of your team members or most of the students have had access to Jupyter Notebook before.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. There's some really cool things that are available through the community cloud. One of the things and it's separate than the IBM cloud, and it's separate than what we've been talking about here. It's essentially accessing that server that we talked about, the mainframe. We can give you access to one for free, and you can, and I have to think, I think you can keep an account and keep your data up for either 3 months or 6 months. I can't remember which one it is, but as long as you bring you save your data and then bring it back up again, you can keep perpetually using it, but the IDs expire after 3 months or 6 months. But again, you can keep using it, creating new accounts. On the 7th of May, from the 7th to 10th of May, I'm actually doing a hackathon on data science and space with DePaul University in Chicago. And we have a full day that's filled with learning. We have some people from NASA coming in to talk about space data, some of the challenges associated with that could be solved by using space data, whether that's, predictive modeling of like weather data, all kinds, looking at natural disasters, man-made disasters. There's all kinds of interesting things, but we've got some really great partners for that. So that's something that, we could talk about doing with your university as well. So like one day of learning and X number of, hackathon timing, hackathon time where they go out and solve a wicked problem or, something like that. There's a lot of things that we can do. And frankly, I don't need any funding to do that. It's something my team does anyway.
Perfect. No, and regarding the program, because right now we are offering courses, like we are offering like 3-4 courses only, and unfortunately, I'm the one who was teaching those. Like now we are recruiting new faculties, and that's a different story. But right now we are using a tools. So for you said like Anaconda Jupyters, we are using a Google Colab and some other tools like Google Clouds that has been provided by Google to us. And also for one
I can
course,
give you access to the Linux One community cloud. So you just tell me how many people you want access, you want to give access to. We could come in and do a training. The training is about an hour long, and then we give you access to GitHub repository that has a bunch of stuff in it. So that's something we can absolutely do.
Sure, perfect. And another thing is we will also get you guys on the board regarding the projects and internship, because we would like to prepare our courses, training and material so students can go and work with you in the future. So that's what the bottom line. But let's see. There is a more room for a collaboration that we will be doing for sure. And
I would say that, one of the biggest things that I think is often missing in traditional data science courses is that concept of design thinking. And, I don't know how much you incorporate design thinking into your classes, but there's a badge that IBM gives away. It's also free. I can grab the link and I'll add it to the chat window, but you can go out and get badged on, design thinking. And for those of you who may not be familiar with what design thinking is, it's about empathizing with your audience. It's about understanding their joys and their pain points and their frustrations, because think of how valuable it is to be able to really present your data in a way that it speaks for itself. You really understand your audience, and you're not just crunching a bunch of data and, illustrating out what you've learned, but you really have deep insights, into the data because you've actually talked to your customers,
of course,
or you've talked to your audience. And it really teaches you a lot about how to not just be, programmers or statisticians, but to really think about how do you bring that data to life through storytelling. And that's the difference in my mind between a good data scientist and a great data scientist, is incorporating that aspect of storytelling and empathizing with your audience and really connecting with your audience.
You know, in design thinking, my favorite portion and component is the empathy mapping, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite component actually. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna grab the link to the badge in case you see me fumbling around. I'm getting that link.
Sure.
I just shared it with someone actually today, so I should have
And
it.
Melissa, do you think like is it possible for you to do like, you know, 1 day, 2 or 3 hours workshop virtually on design thinking maybe?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
can do that. I often do design thinking workshops. And I've even got something that's like we can do it in.
I mean, if it's virtually, that's fine. Or
I
you
can
live
do
in
it
Texas, so
virtually.
we can invite you anytime actually on campus as well.
I would love that. Once I get back, I'm currently in the Dominican Republic, but once I get
Yeah,
back,
once
I
you
would.
come back home, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to come. Okay, I'm just putting this in the chat window.
Sure.
So there is the badge for design thinking, but I'd be happy to walk through. I have a lot of curriculum and training that I do. Design thinking, innovation and creativity, teamwork and collaboration, the art of persuasion, adaptability, imposter syndrome, and a growth mindset. So there's a lot of different things that you know I can present on.
Of course. No, we would love to learn more things from you. And once we start this MS Data Science program, yeah, we would be doing like these activities frequently for sure. And moving forward with the question answer Q&A session, the first person that I see on my screen is a Shilpa. Oh wow, Shilpa, go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, Professor. Thank you, Melissa.
Hi, Shilpa. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy that you guys, you guys came today, and it's a lot to learn. And person like me who don't have hands-on experience in IT, and something I would really like to know more in future and get your work, your sessions more. And
you gotta start somewhere, Shilpa, and trust me, I'm not an engineer. I could not code my way out of a cardboard box. But you know what? I manage engineers. I manage technical projects. But if you ask me to code, if you ask me to do the kind of work that a data scientist does, I'm dead in the water. So if I can get to where I am today, you can break your way into tech, and I promise you that.
Yes, definitely.